So apparently, I think the last time that we talked, America had escorted exactly 2 vessels through with their Navy ships. One of their Navy ships got hit, and then they just didn't help anybody else go through. They just gave everybody else a little pirate map and said, go make a left when you see the rock shaped like a skull or whatever, and you won't hit any mines. Yar. That's what they did. And so nobody else has gone through besides those 2 ships, as far as I'm aware. But since then, Trump, I guess, has said that we're done with Operation. What was this operation called? It wasn't Epstein Fury. It wasn't Economic Fury. Project Freedom, I think this one, the most normal sounding of them. So this one was, so I guess we're done with that. I heard that there's also maybe going to be some more negotiations potentially. We'll see. I'm going to learn with you guys here. Let's see what's going on. This is from Fox News, though. So, put some air quotes around there. But this is just in key details in U.S.-Iran peace proposal revealed. This is from 5 hours ago.
A deal to end the war with Iran's regime appears to be coming together. News of a potential one-page agreement. President Trump is now touting great progress in the push for peace. And the punch of positivity is already having a fast effect. Oil prices have fallen below $100 a barrel. Markets are soaring right now. My team may pop.
Dude, I mean, they really need to just wait till it actually happens. I'm so tired of Trump just manipulating the markets with whatever words he puts out that week. Maybe this one will be real. I don't know. Maybe this one will be real, or maybe it'll be another classic Trump pump fake, and he's going to end up bombing them this weekend. Who knows? We'll find out, I guess. But it's every single time that he opens his mouth, the stock markets are like, yes, thank God. It's they're gasping for breath. They're looking for anything that they could possibly see as a positive improvement, and they will just instantaneously spike up even further than where they would be just normally. It's so crazy, man. The Brent crude, the actual oil situation, those numbers have been a little bit more accurate, but they still have a lot of, I think, hopium baked into those numbers as well. I urge all these people to be a little bit more skeptical of whether this is actually going to end here or not. We don't know. At least not as far as I know. We don't know for sure yet.
Pop that up as I'm talking about it. But it's impressive how quickly that response was. And those oil prices will eventually hit gasoline on the market. I mean, all of this is positive. Let's see how long this.
In a month or two, once the shortages are done. There's countries in Asia that literally have shortages of oil right now, where you're not allowed to drive on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think that the prices will come down eventually for the consumer, but I don't think it'll be that fast necessarily. Also, everybody knows that companies love to they love raising the price, but they hate lowering the price. So they would like to make some super ultra profits during that time when the margins are a little bit higher, when the price of their input goes down, but the actual but they still maintain their higher price. So unless Trump wants to price control that, which I don't know, maybe he will.
Holds. Iran is expected to respond within hours, so that deadline on them is tight. I'm Harris Faulkner. You are in the Faulkner Focus. President Trump posted this on his Truth Social earlier this morning.
Falk me harder. Sorry. I'm so immature.
Assuming Iran agrees to give what has been agreed to, which is perhaps a big assumption, the already legendary Epic Fury will be at an end, and the highly effective blockade will allow the Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. If they don't agree, the bombing starts. And this.
What was that? Assuming Iran agrees to give what has been agreed to. What a sentence. Which is perhaps a big assumption. The already legendary Epic Fury will be at an end, and the highly effective blockade will allow the Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. Oh, okay.
The blockade will remain in full force in effect. Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time. Secretary of State Rubio with this on the military phase of the war. He said this late yesterday.
Their missile launching capability has been substantially degraded, and their industrial base, their defense industrial base, has been severely, severely damaged. So their ability to build a shield behind which they could hide their nuclear program was wiped out. That's a very substantial achievement, and that was the purpose of this operation from day one.
Their nuclear material in order for this war to end.
Well, that's one of the topics that needs to be discussed. I don't know about. I think you're linking it. The operation is over. Epic Fury, as the president notified Congress, we're done with that stage of it. Operation Epic Fury.
I mean, some of this is all just semantics games that they're playing to get around the war powers resolution, right? Like, technically, after 60 days, the president is supposed to. Well, really, before a president decides to go to war, they're supposed to get authorization for Congress. But under, specific circumstances, the courts, I think, have allowed presidents to, engage in some military actions without congressional approval up to 60 days, at which point they need it. And so this is all just semantic, shenanigans to get around that requirement. But I mean, we're already at the point where like laws don't really matter anymore. So it's like, they're really just like, I think they're just saving themselves the hassle. Like they're saving themselves the paperwork, like, so that they don't have to like, they probably just think it would be annoying to defend it in court at this point, but they're just going to keep doing it anyway.
Is concluded. We achieved the objectives of that operation. I'm not going to, we're not cheering for an additional situation to occur. We would prefer the path of peace. What the president would prefer is a deal.
Retired four-star Air Force General Charles Wald will be with me in moments. First, let's go to Peter Doocy at the White House, where the news is moving very fast. Peter.
Very fast, Harris, and you were just talking about this. We've got the details of this 14-point plan, according to Axios. Under the banner, U.S. and Iran closing in on one-page memo to end the war. We've got these: a 5-year ban on nuclear enrichment, which would be less than the 20-year ban President Trump previously said he didn't like. There would be limits of 4.
Okay, 5 exclusive. U.S. and Iran closing in on one-page memo to end war, officials say. Key provisions. Okay, 5-year ban on I'll let him read them all, I guess, and then I'll try to give my analysis.
Enrichment after that. There would be a ban on underground nuclear facilities, a vow to never seek a nuclear weapon, commitment to enhanced nuclear inspections, and an end to restrictions on travel through the Strait of Hormuz.
So if those are the key things, okay, 5-year ban on nuclear enrichment, limits of 4% after that. I don't know what that means, right? Like they already have enriched nuclear, like uranium or whatever, up to 60%. So I don't know if that means like you get rid of all of that and then you then have a 5-year ban on enriching anymore, because limits of 4%, like how is that possible if you already have 60% or whatever? So I think Iran would be willing to dilute their stuff back down to 20%, the same as the JCPOA probably. I don't know if they would go to 4%. That seems a little ridiculous. Ban on underground nuclear facilities, they're never going to do that. No, that's not going to be in the final proposal. Vow to never seek a nuclear weapon. Okay, sure. I bet, well, to be honest, like Iran historically hasn't wanted a nuclear weapon. Now they might have a different calculus. So I'm assuming that maybe they might actually, but if anything, that would be the one thing that like they would definitely be willing to do, I think, because in general, I don't even think they wanted one. Technically it's against God if you ascribe to the fatwa or whatever, which is a religious law in Iran. To build a nuke. So commitment to enhanced nuclear inspections. So just JCPOA stuff, having the, IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, come in and do their inspections again. They'll probably allow it. I would like, if I were Iran, I would not want the IAEA coming near my facilities whatsoever, considering that they are basically just a Mossad spy agency. Like they're just like going in, they're documenting all the names of all the nuclear scientists who work there. And then they just, give a call to their Mossad handler to be like, okay, here's the names and here's where they live. And then at some point in the future, Israel will assassinate them all in a new package of war crimes that they prepare. So, but they might allow that though still. Into restrictions travel through the strait. That one is the wording of that one makes me feel like maybe they'll allow that, but that'll probably end up meaning like Iran controls the strait, right? And Iran may set up a tolling system. We'll see if there's any more information after this about like the tolling and the sanctions relief, because I've heard some information that they're going to be doing some potentially some sort of sanctions relief. But yeah, that's my analysis on those 5 key provisions, at least.
President Trump, though, is telling the New York Post it's too soon right now to schedule a new round of in-person talks with Iran. So this is a very high-stakes game of telephone, still led by Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner.
Dude, take them out. Put somebody in. Put someone else in. You can't have those goobers who bungled the entire initial negotiations that led us into this mess. You can't keep them in. I know that like in reality, like this war was planned from the start to happen. It's been planned for 40 years to happen. And so like really they were just doing their job. They were playing their part as puppets of empire. But if you want to actually get a deal, you need to send in some serious people and not your fucking son-in-law and Witkoff. Like you need someone smart, please, dear God. Put me in, coach. Like I could probably negotiate better than they could.
I'm not always going to be one, but if there's a real diplomatic path and we continue to explore it, Steve and Jared are working on that very hard. If there is one there, it could be one that leads them to reconstruction, to prosperity, and to stability, and to not posing a threat to the world. The alternative is growing isolation, economic collapse, and ultimately total defeat.
Is he talking about them or us? Because right now it's feeling like he's talking about us.
I don't know how many Iranian leaders who ordered protesters a couple months ago murdered are still there, but a separate piece of this puzzle is avoiding future slaughter of protesters by arming them.
What?
Do you plan to arm them soon?
Well, I don't want to say that, but yeah, I mean, people say, why aren't they protesting? They want to protest, but they don't have any guns. So you could have 200,000 people protesting and have 5 or 6 sick people with guns. And when they start shooting them right.
First and foremost, let's be completely real with ourselves. Israel definitely armed all of those protesters before. Like they were armed. Like that is why they needed to be put down. Like I mean, if you're I'm not saying all of them necessarily, but a lot of them were like essentially engaging in violent acts against the government, right? Like they were trying to agitate for a coup, essentially. And I don't necessarily think they need to be like gunned down or whatever, but they definitely need to be like disciplined and have their guns taken away from them or whatever. So even if you decide, though, to flood the entire country with a whole bunch of guns, I don't think it's going to work, man. In general, since the war has started, the solidarity around the Iranian people has grown like 100-fold. Like they are much more on board with their government. They are much more on board with the IRGC. And I'm not saying that'll last forever, but at this point in time, if you just like ship a whole bunch of guns into the country, in my opinion, they would probably almost all end up in the hands of the IRGC. So it's basically just a free handout to them. So that's a stupid decision. If they do that, I don't know. I just don't like, they're not going to get what they want. So I guess I don't really care that much. It really would just be like a handout of like free guns to Iran. But yeah.
Between the eyes.
And Reuters is reporting in a bulletin that just crossed that the Israelis did not know folks here at the White House were so close to a deal, if that is in fact where we are, so close to a deal. So the Israelis had been preparing to ramp fighting up with Iran until this morning. Harris.
Yeah, I'm looking at that Reuters right now. That seems very significant that they didn't know, because in the beginning it was the Roaring Lion operation and Epic Fury.
Well, because like the moment you tell them, they're going to send all of Donald Trump, like their handlers for Donald Trump, to go in and like poison his ear with like sweet words or like, I don't know, put him into a coma and then like puppet him so that he says, yes, we must actually send all of our ground troops into Israel. That's what I actually meant. There is no deal. Like, that's what they like. You, if you want to actually get to peace, you just need to cut out Israel. That's what, like, and
Star Air Force General Charles Wald.
I don't know what happened there, but my internet, it looks like it just went down entirely. Is it back? I think it's back. Fuck, man, our internet sucks too. Well, it's not that it sucks necessarily. It's that I want to get like hardwired, but I still have to live on Wi-Fi right now because it costs money to get it hardwired. And I'm just like, it costs a lot, by the way, because this room is on like the second floor, so it's like getting that wired up from the bottom. I guess I could just get a super long Ethernet cord or something to hold me over. Maybe I'll do something like that.
Former Deputy Commander of U.S. European Command. Sir, great to have you. I want to start with that bit of news, with Israel and the United States maybe not being yoked as they were at the beginning of the war. Your reaction?
I'd be pretty surprised if the Israelis and the United States aren't in pretty much lockstep. I mean, you hear things in public, but there's a lot of discussion going on. Our main issue in the Middle East, frankly, besides
that 100% Israel wants America to continue this war. Not only that, they want America to do a full ground invasion of Iran. I don't know if they're going to get that at this point. I am starting to get the sense that Trump is very wary of actually putting like boots on the ground, like anything that will actually cause significant loss of American life or whatever. So like, I don't think they're going to get that, but I think that they will always want America to go back to war with Iran, because to them, they feel like it would be, no matter whether America strategically wins or loses, they feel like Israel will be in a better strategic position if Iran is in any way destabilized at all. And to an extent, they're right. But not in terms of like the long game, where as America becomes less popular because of this war, and America's global standing goes down because of this war, and its world empire status goes down because of this war, that will inevitably in the long term impact Israel as well as an extension of America.
the fact that Iran is so provocative is the security of Israel and our GCC friends. And I think we need to stick with that. We won't, I don't think we'll waver from that, and that'll be the end state.
Look, it feels like, and we'll set just aside what happened today for a second. When Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Operation Epic Fury yesterday was over, we could get a sense, and that's why you saw reporters really leaning in with questions on that, that perhaps something was on the horizon, and now word of a one-page deal. I want to get your direct thoughts on the strategy that has gotten us here in the last 24 hours.
Well, I think from my perspective, there's two things. One is the security of our friends, Israel, I mentioned, and the GCC countries in the Middle East. That's paramount. And then number two is for the Iranians not to have a nuclear capability. They're associated, but they're somewhat separate. And I think both of those are objectives of the United States.
Okay, I don't need to listen to this old ass. I got a whole bunch of other stuff to get to. So there you go. I guess that's what was in the proposal. I think what they're saying in the proposal versus what Iran would be willing to accept is, I think, completely different. I think that this is like America trying to present like potentially the best possible things they think they could get from Iran in this proposal, and wording it in a very specific way to make it not look like they ended up losing a bunch of stuff from the deal they had at the beginning of like before they started the war. But I would be hard set to believe that Iran won't set up their tolling system, right? Like I think Iran will set up a tolling system. There will be like free flow of goods, as the proposal said, in that situation. It would just be Iran would be, making money off of it or whatever, right? And that could be framed, if you want to talk about it like that, it could be framed as like reparations from Iran's perspective, which I know they were seeking 100 billion or something at the beginning. So they could say, well, we're just going to toll until we can get those reparations back. I would also be surprised if there's no sanctions relief as a part of this as well. I'm just going to guess it's going to look a lot like the JCPOA, but like probably less, to be honest. Like Iran will probably have more after this than from the JCPOA. So that's kind of what I think is going on.